Welcome to the League of Women Voters Forum for the candidates in the contested races for Geneva Park District Board and Geneva School District Board. My name is Kelly Rotella, and I am on the Voter Service Committee for the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County. I indicated that the forum tonight is for those in contested races. The races running for Geneva Library Board and Geneva City Council, with the exception of one ward, are not in contested races. That means that in each of the positions up for election, there is one candidate running for the office or enough to fill the upcoming vacant positions. Therefore, none of these candidates have a direct opponent. Only one of the city council wards has more than one person running for the seat. It should be noted that the League of Women Voters has an empty chair policy, which prohibits a forum with only one candidate for a position participating. We do allow for the person who agrees to participate up to 3 minutes to give an introductory statement. We will have Martha Paschke give that statement in a few minutes. The candidates tonight participating in today's forum have signed and agreed to the format and media policy required by the League of Women Voters. Today's forum is being live streamed and filmed by Andrew Van Meter and Audrey Karff from our local Batavia Cable Access Television, BATV. The recording will be posted on the websites of the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County, BATV, and the Illinois Voter Guide. The moderator for tonight's forum was going to be Barbara Lymans, the Voter Service Chair from the Wheaton League of Women Voters, but the weather got in our way. So instead, the Voter Service Chair from our league, Patty Lockman, will be moderating. Before we have moderator Lockman give the ground rule information, here is Martha Paschke with a 3-minute statement. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this very important forum. As she said, my name is Martha Paschke, and I'm running for alderperson in Geneva's 4th Ward. A little bit about me and why I'm doing this. 22 years ago, my husband Jeremy came to the Fox Valley to attend a teacher job fair. He called me from here and announced that he had found where I was going to want to live, and he was not wrong. We ended up living in St. Charles for a little over a year, before settling here in Geneva in December of 2002. We didn't need World Atlas at the time to tell us that this was one of the most beautiful towns in America, although having that distinction now is pretty cool. Our 3 kids were all born at Delnor and have all attended Geneva schools, 2 having graduated in the past 2 years, but they're still close by in Chicago. And 1 is now a freshman at GHS, and is also the reason I have to leave as soon as I give my introduction because they have a choir concert tonight. I treasure everything that this town has been and is for my family and want to give back in service as the next alderperson for the 4th Ward. Serving and building community is at the heart of everything I do. From the early years of organizing block parties and neighborhood Easter egg hunts when my kids were young, to more recent years of serving on the boards of the Geneva Library Foundation. Quick shout out, Wine, Cheese, and Trees is going to be hosted here on February 25th. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, get them now. Also on the Family Service Association of Greater Elgin and Belong Fox Valley. In addition, I serve on the Mission Committee, the Earth Stewardship Committee, and the Nominating Committee at my church, Fox Valley Presbyterian. I run my own small business as a childbirth educator and labor doula, advocating for couples as they welcome their babies into this world. I've been an educator, substitute teaching in Geneva and St. Charles, as well as teaching middle school social studies in Yorkville. I've worked in mental health as an intake coordinator at a local therapy practice, and I currently serve as coordinator for King County State's Attorney's Collaborative Diversion Initiative, something that I built from the ground up through careful research, securing of significant grant funding, developing of policies and procedures, and collaborating with other community partners, including law enforcement and social service agencies. Between my volunteer work and my paid work, I believe I have a unique set of experiences and skills that would be valuable in the role of alderperson. Our city has some big things on the horizon. Development of industrial complexes, responding to the drainage study and other infrastructure maintenance and review, assessing our climate resilience and how to address that in the future, and continuing to address and meet the goals in our strategic plan. Maintaining Geneva's unique charm while simultaneously continuing to grow and develop as a 21st century city will be the balance that needs to be struck throughout all these decisions. and I believe I have the ability to fairly and honestly represent the people of the 4th Ward. Thank you.
As Kelly said, I was not going to do this. My role as voter service chair for Central Kane County has been to be a moderator, but I moderate for other leagues throughout the state. But weather, as Kelly said, got in our way, and Barb was unable to get here, and it was a little treacherous for her to even try. So, as Kelly said, my name is Patty Lackman, and I am a member of the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County, and I am the voter service chair. But I do not vote in Geneva because I live in Batavia. I have a little clout here with BATV, and I want to always ask why we don't have a BATV in Geneva or St. Charles. Anyway. So I will not be voting in this election in Geneva, but I want to tell you a little bit about the League of Women Voters. We are a nonpartisan political organization that neither opposes nor supports candidates or parties for any office. The League is not affiliated with any political party. Our purpose is to promote civic responsibility through the informed and active participation of citizens in government and civil civic discourse. Providing forums is a major mission of the League of Women Voters so citizens can become better informed about the issues facing their community and to become better acquainted with the candidates running for office. Participating in tonight's forum for Geneva Park District are candidate Peter Cladis and candidate Timothy Farah. Regrettably, candidate Douglas Jones is out of town on business, so he was unavailable. So what we're going to do is tell you that tonight's candidate forum is a forum and not a debate. Candidates are expected to accurately represent the facts, and their responses reflect their own views and opinions. The League of Women Voters is not responsible for the accuracy of any statements made. It is the responsibility of the public, news media, opposing candidates to fact-check statements made by candidates if necessary. I don't think we'll have that problem tonight. The candidates have agreed to abide by the rules set forth for this forum. They are attending tonight because they have assigned and returned the ground rules by the deadline established. These rules specify the format, time limits, broadcasting of the forum, and other rules related to the conduct of the forum. The candidates will begin in alphabetical order with their 1-minute opening statements. They will then alternate in the order in which they answer questions. So I will start with Mr. Cladis, and you have 1 minute opening, and we all have our own microphones, so be careful. Mr. Cladis, 1 minute.
My name is Peter Cladis, and my wife Jane and I moved here 40 years ago to join a group called Fox Valley Family Physicians, who since has been acquired by Northwestern Medicine, and for the past 4 years we've been part of the Northwestern Medicine umbrella. I've been involved in Park District activities from the day we arrived with my kids. We have 3 grown children now who have all been participants in active programs here, from Tiny Toes Dance to various athletic activities to a lot of the cultural and social things. So we've been members here. I've been a volunteer coach. We also have been actively involved in boards. Both my wife and I, my wife Jane, has been with the Geneva Park District Foundation Board for several years. I personally am involved in multiple hospital boards now and have been a commissioner for the Geneva Park District Board for the past 2 years, and have learned a lot, and it's just an incredible organization. My main focus really is because, as in my job, I see a lot of things that this community has that help my patients. So I want to make one statement. As a practicing physician who daily sees the valuable role healthy lifestyles have in a patient's emotional and physical well-being, a strong local resource like the Geneva Park District is vital to our community's health. And I've been really, my eyes have been opened in a myriad of ways that this community organization does this. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Dr. Cladis.
Okay.
Mr. Farah. your opening, please. Got it.
Hello, and welcome everybody to the forum. I appreciate you coming, especially on a bad weather day like today. I'm also thankful to the League of Women Voters for holding such a forum, because this is important for candidates like myself and Peter to be able to express to the public any answers to questions that you may have, but also our positions. I recently relocated out here about 2.5 years ago with my wife. We did reside in Burr Ridge for 34 years where we raised our family. And we've always liked the Fox Valley area, especially Geneva. And moving out here was very important when we decided to downsize and relocate. I wanted to become a part of the Park District here because I served 25 years as the Burr Ridge Park District. And when there was an opportunity to join the Park District out here, I wanted to get involved. I enjoy working for the park districts because it is for the community. It is a place that they serve the community from young children all the way up to the older adults, and having good quality programs for them, good quality parks that are educational, parks that are interactive, and mainly that the parks are safe as well. Not only is the equipment safe, but the people around them are safe.
Thank you. I forgot to tell the audience that there are people walking around that are league members and AAUW members with baskets with cards in them, cards and pens. You can fill out a card and it will come up here to one of our question reviewers for review. They screen it for appropriateness and clarity and to make sure that there are no zingers in there. So we will start with our first question, and we'll start with Mr. Farah. Near and dear to my own heart here. What services for seniors do you think the Park District should offer?
I believe it should offer many recreational type things. First of all, exercise capabilities, whether it's a gym to work at or it's workout sessions, things that the older adults can get together and gather to stay close with each other in the community and be part of the community. So there's a lot, especially when you have an older generation out here, there's a lot that the Park District can offer in different recreational things, events and things like that. It's also a great place to bring grandchildren because the parks here are very educational and very interactive. So it's a great place for them to have their grandchildren and enjoy what Geneva has to offer.
Thank you. Dr. Klaas, same question.
Well, I think the most important thing is as we age, our mental and physical capabilities kind of deteriorate. So keeping those stimulated is important. So gathering in groups, I think, is important. Offering educational opportunities, ways to keep our minds sharp. So we have recreational opportunities through fitness centers to keep that physical thing going, but also there's many cultural events, there's senior trips, and there's also group activities. I mean, as you get older, your brain needs to be stimulated in multiple ways. So puzzles, games, game nights, social gathering activities, I think are really, really important. And the sense of community is important, along with the ability to have age-specific fitness equipment and fitness activities that seniors can participate in.
Thank you. Now with Dr. Kladdis, if you could change one thing about our Park District Board, what would it be? Our Park District, what would it be?
Geneva Park District, and again, I've been involved with these folks for many, many years, does a great job of trying to be environmentally friendly. They try to cater to the needs of the community, and I've been really impressed the last couple of years I've been on the board that they listen to the community. So if there's new programs, if there's new opportunities, they listen. So I guess my feeling would be I don't see that there's that many ways that this park district does not listen to the needs of the community and respond in some way, as long as it's fiscally responsible.
Thank you. Mr. Ferris, you have a question?
Yes, I believe that the Park District, and again, being new out here, I'm not familiar with a lot of the depth of the Park District, and I hope to become more and more familiar with that as being part of the park. But the past experience I've had over the last 25 years at the Burr Ridge Park District is that a commissioner is there to make sure that there's fiscal responsibility for the Park District, but also to listen to the community, to find out what the community wants from that Park District, whether it's older adults in the programs they want, whether it's younger adults in the programs they want. As I was going canvassing for votes, I heard a lot of comments from people about this thing or that thing, or this park needs a little bit more care, or this. But overall, the Geneva Park District does a tremendous job in what they have to offer.
Thank you. Mr. Farah, how do you think that the Park District could support those that are less fortunate?
Well, usually that can be a monetary thing and help them out that way. Another way is if they're physically unable to make sure that they adhere to the disabled people and the capabilities for them, whether it's at the pool, whether it's at the recreational centers, and have access to all the parks where the disabled and that can do it. Also, if you have children that have autism or any other physical disabilities, that they could be able to interact and have groups to interact that way as well.
Thank you. Dr. Klaas.
Well, the Geneva Park District is actively involved with the Fox Valley Special Recreation Association, which helps adults and children with disabilities, and they actively participate in programs here. Additionally, many, and I'm not going to say all because I'm not sure, are all ADA-capable facilities, so all the new facilities and things that we have built are all ADA-capable, so those who have special needs, those who can't participate in some of the equipment are able to at least engage in some of that. And then I think there's also financial help that through grants and stuff that we're able to give those who financially can't participate in programs, and also allow them to engage in programs without pain also.
Thank you. Dr. Klaas, how would you solicit community input?
Well, I think community surveys are the most common now with online things. I think it's really very easy. So, and again, the Park District is actively engaged in trying to solicit that. So there are open forums, there are open meetings. All of our park board meetings are open to the public, but they are, and they do have community surveys. We are actively engaged in one now and have hired a firm to do that. But I think listening to the community is important, and I think one of the biggest things is we change so much that the needs of the community change. We have to adapt and be able to offer new services and listen to what folks want. And one of the biggest things that we're doing now is pickleball is huge, and so we're constructing pickleball courts now and listening to the community in that way.
Thank you. Mr. Farah.
I think the most important thing is to make sure that all of the citizens of Geneva have access to the Park District, whether it's our commissioners or the people that work for the Park District. I know that I travel and visit a lot of the parks. I like to inspect them. I like to see what they're about. So I'd like to engage with people that are using the parks to get their input. If we're going to make any changes to parks, that we get the local input from the local residents in that area. That's very important. I will always make myself personally accessible to anybody that wants to talk to me about the needs of the park. And when I'm visible at the parks and things like that. If the Park District is doing surveys, it's important that we listen to what the community has to say and the answers to those. But most importantly is to encourage all of the citizens to speak up via email, attend the monthly meetings if you want to voice. That is the best way, is to attend those meetings and have your voice heard there as well.
Along that line, do you feel that the Park District has gotten enough response from the community, Mr. Farah?
Again, because I have been part of the Park District, it's very difficult for me to know what the response has been. All I know is that when I was canvassing for the signatures, I would say at least 35 to 40% of the people did open up and tell me things that they would like to see in addition to the Park District changes, or what's going on with this or what's on with that. So the people are very vocal, and we just need to make sure that they can communicate with the Park District to be heard.
So I would second that emotion. Since I've been a commissioner, people would come up to me and ask about specific things. They're not global things that they're concerned about, but if it's something that impacts them directly, like Tim said, you take your grandkids to the park or something, then you notice a piece of equipment. So people talk to me about that a lot. But I think as a community, the park board meetings are open. If there's big items or major things, we do get a big response. But I think by and large, we have a very engaged community that does respond and wants to improve the park district board in any way we can. I think the park board does listen, and there are many avenues. There's a lot of emails. They go into the website and give their responses. You certainly see a lot of folks responding to the different programs. Every program has a survey that the participants give us back. So I think there's many ways to do that, and we do have a very engaged community.
Thank you. Dr. Kladdis, what are the chances of having an indoor swimming pool? I like that one.
So I was on the board of the Geneva River Rat swim team for many years, and my kids all swam. We have been fighting for an indoor swimming pool for a long time. One of the things that happened was when Delnor was built, there was an indoor pool there. There was talk that maybe the Park District could combine with that to kind of do something, and that didn't work. I think the possibility of that is unlikely just because of the massive fiscal undertaking it would be. I mean, you'd have to probably have private donations or something like that to undertake that. I think there's a lot of support in the community. Clearly, St. Charles has 2 indoor pools that they can manage, and I think maybe Batavia and Geneva can combine the Park District to do something. But it's been a hot topic for a while. It is not something that I think is going to be in the near future because of the financial burden it would place on taxpayers.
Thank you. Mr. Farah, what do you think the chances are?
That's a very appropriate question. After 25 years of being in Burr Ridge, that was probably one of the topics for the last 15 years. As people got more and more involved with our outdoor pool, they wanted to do something during the winter. As I was going around canvassing for my signatures, I had about 5 or 6 people ask the same question. As Peter had mentioned, financially, it is a very big drain on a park district. The cost to build and maintain a park and to staff it, a pool, indoor pool, is very difficult. When you have so many different pools in the area that are indoors, doing some swimming classes and things like that, there is a lot of competition out for that. So it would have to be something that the Park District would have to take very serious, because from a financial standpoint, it can't be a drain if it doesn't cover its cost.
Thank you. On a wish list, continuing on with a wish list, what are your thoughts on setting up a local dog park? Mr. Farah.
Well, I don't have a dog anymore. We did raise 2 little Yorkies, so enjoyed that a lot. If it's what the community wants, I think it's something. There are a lot of dogs in this village. I see them all the time. You see them walking down Main Street a lot as people are enjoying the downtown part as well. You see them at many of the different parks. So if the community wants to have a dog park and there is the proper property and capabilities of doing it, it is something that we should definitely take a look at.
Dr. Kladdis.
Yeah, I think it's a very hot topic because there's so much of a call for it, especially during COVID. I mean, the parks were inundated with dogs during COVID, people walking, and we wanted to get people out. There are dog parks in the area. We know that. There's some in St. Charles, some in Batavia. Geneva is definitely talking about that, but like Tim said, you really have to find a piece of property that's appropriate and then designate it, but I know it's something that is definitely on the table and has been talked about.
Thank you. Last question. What are the best things about the Geneva Park District? Dr. Kladdis.
I think unquestionably the breadth and depth of programs that it offers. It's not just kids athletic leagues. It's like Playhouse 38, which is a cultural thing. It's senior trips where you're taking trips. It's dance, it's cheer, it's swim, it's just so many different things. And they engage and work with, like the Geneva School Board, where we have activities like in Western Avenue School, Harrison Street School, where we're using the schools also. And I think listening to the community, I think trying to adapt to the needs. I mean, we have 56 parks, I think we have 56 parks maybe, and 780, I don't know, but they also maintain their facilities. They also look at the equipment, and all the equipment that you see that is taken out of a facility is repurposed at another facility. So they're environmentally friendly. They want to make sure that we are good stewards of the equipment we had and the monies we get.
Thank you. Mr. Farah.
Well, the Park District already is one of the top districts in the state of Illinois. So it's to maintain that same class of recognition throughout the state, to have the high quality that it has, the high quality programs. As residents, I'm sure you get the catalog every quarter, and you can see the hundreds of programs that are in here for all different ages. I know I participate in several of them myself and enjoy them very much. So when you take a look at the programs that are given here and the quality of those programs and the quality of the instructors and the people that are running them, that is what goes very well. Just maintain everything and be state-of-the-art. One of the things I know the Park District is looking for is being environment friendly. In fact, I think they're testing a electric vehicle. So they're looking at electric vehicles as well. So does that cost justify it? But the most important thing a Park District can do is listen to its residents, be fiscally responsible using the money as they have coming in, and then to put it where it needs to go.
Thank you. And now we will go to your closing statements, and we'll start with Mr. Farah. 1 minute.
In closing, I'd like to say thank you to the League of Women's Voters for holding this forum so that you can hear more about who we are. But most importantly, to the citizens of Geneva, you have a voice. You use the surrounding community. Speak up for what you want from the Park District. Be available, use as much of it as you can. It's a beautiful community. It's a community that's around family. So if you do have grandchildren that don't live in this area, bring them here. It's a great community. And just enjoy it. And I'm looking forward to joining the Park District if you so desire.
Thank you. Dr. Cladis.
One could decide. We are looking at putting charging stations into several facilities, and that's another thing that we are talking about. But I would just echo Tim. I think we've got a wonderful park district. It's been just an amazing place to grow up and raise a family. And again, as I see patients on a daily basis, they benefit from all the facilities and the programs that the park district has, and what an impact that has on their health. And if we have open spaces, if we have resources and recreational facilities, it just helps the community grow better. Personally, my family has benefited over the years, and I want to continue that legacy where I can continue to give back to the community and help grow this park district and adapt and develop the programs that the community wants. And again, I think we have a very vocal community. I think the community, we want to listen to you, and I would just encourage you to continue to engage in surveys and just write an email to the park district. Let us know what you want, because it really does help us to become one of the best. As Tim said, it's one of the best park districts in the state. And we're trying to be as fiscally conservative with your money as we can. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you both for coming out in this crummy weather and for making the commitment to serve the community in the Park District. So I want to have everyone give you a round of applause. Thank you very much. In this time, it takes a lot of gumption, I was going to say guts, but guts is right, to run for anything, because you are out there in the public and everybody's got their own idea of how things should be, and everybody's got a complaint, and this is the way you could do it better. So it takes a lot of guts. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
So between now and the school board, we're going to have two people that are running for office that are in uncontested races, Stephanie Bellino and Anae Bowring. If you would come up, please. You each get 30 seconds to talk about your position, the office that you're running for, and why you're running. So I'm going to have Stephanie, if you can come first, and you can have a seat there. Okay.
Okay, hi everybody. I am Stephanie Bellino and I am running for Geneva 304 Board of Education, the 2-year unexpired term. I am a current board member. I was appointed last September, so in these 5 months I have learned a lot about our district and about the board, and just excited to continue on with that. I'm also a mom of 3 304 students, a wife of a teacher. I'm an alum of Geneva 304 and a volunteer in our schools and communities. I'm running to maintain our tradition of excellence that the community has come to expect in the district. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Anais Bowering. Thank you to the League of Women Voters. I am running for Geneva City Council unopposed. My husband and I have lived in Geneva for the last 9 years. We now have 2 kids and we're excited to raise our family here. I have a background educationally and working in public policy and also looking at local and state politics. Really, I'm just interested to serve Geneva, give back to this community, and help plan for the future and keep us on the right track. Thanks very much.
Now, if school board candidates could come up, I'm going to put your names out. Yeah, I'm doing it alphabetically. And you'll each, 2 of you will have to share mics. So you 2 share and you 2 share. Okay? And I've got water for you.
Oh, nice.
For the next one.
Where was it from?
And I need to probably move this. Is this going to screw you up, Audrey? If I move this? It's okay. Housekeeping stuff here. I need to remind the audience, and I failed to say this at the beginning, the questions that you submit must be able to be asked and answered by all the candidates for that particular office. You cannot do a zinger question. It won't get asked. We want to have questions that deal with the office that the person is running for, and I don't care about anybody's personal life. And what you need to do is ask questions about what they will do when they are in office, if elected. Thank you. And now we have the candidates for school board, and we will start alphabetically with Molly Ansari. Am I saying, I can't even.
Yes, you're correct.
It should be green. Is it green? Press the button where it says mute.
It's also the power.
It's the power. That's tricky.
And it should turn green. Take your finger off of it. Is it green?
Turned off.
Okay, turn it again.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Technology at its finest.
Good thing I'm not running for a tech position.
Hi, everyone. My name is Molly.
And you need to have it close to your mouth.
Got it. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this. I'm honored to be here. I was appointed to the board in March, and I've been serving for a little less than a year. And I just want to tell you a little bit about myself and what I think I bring to the board. I'm an assistant professor at Bradley University in their master's counseling program. I'm a licensed clinical professional counselor. I own my own private practice. I have a team of clinicians that work with me. We provide counseling and art therapy services to children, teens, adults, families, and couples. And I have a master's degree in counseling and a PhD in counselor education, and I think I bring a few different skills to the table. It's really important for me to be an advocate for mental health and safety, and I feel like I bring that to the board. I want to make sure that our students, their mental health, their well-being, and their safety are always our top priority in every decision that we make. And I want to make sure our teachers and our staff are part of that too, that we're including all of the mental health and wellness in all of our decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kabin.
Thank you very much. Since I'm going to ask you to vote for me, I'll use my opening statement to tell you a little bit about myself. I see a lot of familiar faces out there, but some of you may not know me. I'm an Illinois guy. I grew up in Galesburg, graduated from Galesburg High School, went to the University of Illinois in Champaign, where I received a Bachelor of Science degree with honors, a major in education, and minor in aviation technology. At that point, I was drafted and decided I'd rather enlist, so I joined the Air Force. I was there for 8 years and flew C-130s primarily. After that, I should tell you, I worked for United Airlines. I'm married. I have 2 adult children, and I'm looking forward to being a part of the progress in District 304. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nakayama, am I close?
You nailed it.
Good. The only thing I've done right today.
Oh, don't say this. Hello, Brent Nakayama. My wife and I have been Geneva residents for a little over 10 years. We have 3 wonderful children in the school district, all elementary age, Williamsburg. They're all at the open house right now, but so I'm here, but my wife's covering. You know, why I wanted to run for school board was, is really the children have many years left to go, and so I felt that I could be a value-added piece to the continued, success of this wonderful school district that we absolutely love. From a professional or an experience perspective, I bring a lot of experience in program design and management, budget planning, long-term strategic planning, and I've also been a champion of diversity, inclusion, and fostering inclusive work and collaborative work environments. And so bringing that experience to the board and making sure that all decisions that the board is tasked with making are well-informed, based on knowledge, facts, and reason. So just looking forward to continuing to make the district wonderful.
Thank you. Mr. Radlinsky. Okay.
Yes, perfect. Good evening. My name is Paul Redlinsky, and I am currently a board member of Geneva 304. I'm running for election in this March or April. When my wife and I moved here 20 years ago, one of the reasons we did was because of the strength of the school district. I had 3 children who all were educated and who are all now adults and off on their own professional careers, and the reason I'm running is because I want to give back to the community that supported us when we moved here. I think based on my experience, my professional experience of 35 years of running global businesses, and my life experiences of living all around the world, and in Asia and in Europe and all over the United States, I think I have a very broad and open mind. And I think I can understand what the future challenges are for the kids that we're working for, and I think I can bring a positive to that in order so that they meet the opportunities that they're going to encounter.
Thank you. And now we'll go to question 1, and we'll start with Mr. Kabin. What is the most important challenge facing students today?
I think the most important challenge facing students today is recovery from COVID. And I don't mean the disease itself, I mean the change that were wrought in our school systems by that particular pandemic. The different things that kids had to do to adjust to the school as it changed, dealing with separation, dealing with masks, dealing with all kinds of things like that. And the social differences that it's made in our life. I feel like we're on a path now to correct those things and get back to normal. But the truth of the matter is, it takes longer than just the time we've been on the path. And I certainly look forward to helping that process.
Thank you. Mr. Nakayama. I would keep them on.
Keep up, okay.
And just remember they're hot mics, so just keep them on.
No mumbling, all right. You know, I think one of the largest challenges that our children see right now, and I have some that are starting to get into that age, is with, you know, social media and some of the influence, most of the time unintentional and unwarranted, that they feel from, you know, the whole world of social media and gadgets and being online and all of that. So, you know, I'm the way my wife and I parent our kids, and we try and teach them right from wrong and things like that. But, you know, I would like to bring some of that, you know, continued control and just be very cognizant of that in all of the policies that are set forth with, you know, what's coming into and how we operate the school system, is just keeping a mindful eye on that and the impact that it can have on our children.
Thank you. Mr. Radlinski.
Thank you. I think one of the key challenges that our children are experiencing and will experience is the impact of change on their lives. Change is something that is coming, and it's coming faster than it's ever come. What we have had to deal with in our days, and what maybe my children had to deal with in the pace of change, is going to be overtaken by what we're seeing today with technology, with social change, with demographic changes. And I think it's the responsibility of the school to be preparing those children so that they're ready to take this change and to be able to adjust to it and handle it. And so we want to make them critical thinkers, we want to make them open to change, and we want to make them ready for the future that's coming to them.
Thank you. Ms. Ansari.
Thank you. I would say that there are a couple things, and before I even answer it, I would really just highlight how strong our youth really are today. I don't know if I could survive in the school life and social life that they do. The fallout from the pandemic, we haven't even begun to see the fullness of that. Anxiety levels are at a new high. Fear, the change from in-person learning to virtual and back and forth, the adjustments that they've had to endure. And then you talk about social pressures, social media, academic pressures. There's a lot of pressure coming down on our young people, and it's just really amazing that they've been able to be resilient and strong, and I just want to ensure that they are fully supported in all of these challenges, and I want to be a part of that support and lending a voice to that.
Thank you. Starting with Mr. Nakayama. What impact could you have on parental concerns of drugs, bullying, drugs, and social media on our children? What impact could you have on parental concerns of bullying, drugs, and social media on our children as a school board member?
Well, I think I kind of piggybacks off of my first response, is that, you know, I think it's incumbent of a school board, not just this district, Geneva School Board, but it's incumbent on the school board to ensure that there's not just policies in place, but also that they're actively, you know, managed and governed to ensure that that school is really, it's the safest place that our children could be at any given point, right? So again, I think it's just ensuring that policies are well thought out, the children, it's about the children, and that about their mental health and their physical protection and safety, and we need to reinforce those policies and enforce them.
Mr. Redlinski.
Yes, I believe that the greatest tool that we have for helping our children with items such as bullying or drugs or social media is the parents. We want the parents to provide their input to the school board. We want them to be part of our meetings. We want them to give their input for the policies that the school board is developing and how we are implementing those. So I think this is a lot about communication, open communications, being open and allowing the parents to be part of that so that they can have an input on how the school board finally sets its policy on these issues.
Thank you. Ms. Ansari?
Sure, I think these concerns are very important, and I believe it's the board's job to serve as a model. We're in the public eye, and I think it's important that we show that it's okay to talk about these hard issues, that we do so in a compassionate and collaborative manner, that we're taking cues from the stakeholders that are most involved in our students' lives, the parents and the teachers who are with them day in and day out, and that no decision that we make is without information. I think that's the biggest thing that we need to model and to show our communities that we're making informed decisions. And at the heart of it, that all of these issues are being brought up and talked about in an open and compassionate manner.
Mr. Khabib, same question.
Well, I'd say, first of all, that that's three pretty good responses to the question. Those are serious issues that we all recognize. And as a school board member, we oversee the development of policies which provide the care that people need if they're wrestling with those issues, the students need in particular. We provide the policies which allow the teachers and administrators to oversee corrective action where it's required and appropriate. We certainly model in our behavior not doing those things. I certainly think it would be a terrible thing to have a bully on a board, but in my past life I have experienced that. So we try as a board to function effectively, and I want to endorse my fellow board members. We have a good board right now, and it's well worth following, and we have the best interests of the students at heart, and we'll hopefully continue to model good behavior and see improvements in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Starting with Mr. Redlinski. Where would you go to access the information needed to make an informed decision regarding what sex ed is taught in schools?
Well, I think this is something that the Board of Education and the school district has addressed recently. And they have reached out, again, to the parents and to the teachers to understand the curriculum. They have evaluated what we are doing now in the schools and how the curriculum is being taught with the input and the support of the parents. And we have then looked to see through the administration whether or not we are meeting the expectations and the requirements set by the state. I think we have checked off all of those boxes over the recent time, and I think they have done, the board has done a good job. It was prior to my being there in deciding that we're on the right track and we're being supported by the community in this area.
Thank you. Ms. Ansari.
Would you mind repeating it?
Where would you go to access the information needed to make an informed decision regarding what sex ed is taught in schools?
So I'm a believer in going to the experts. No one person on the board is an expert in this area, but there are people put into place that have trained in their professional careers to know this information. So I would elicit the information and expertise of those in the field. I would look to the parents. The parents are absolutely a part of that process as well as the teachers who will be teaching it. And depending on where that goes and the decisions that are made, that all education is delivered in a safe manner, in a well-intentioned manner, in an informed manner, so that our students take the information that they have and they become well-informed themselves moving forward. But it first starts with the experts, and I would take every lead from every expert that I had the opportunity to hear.
Thank you. Mr. Kabin.
I have a little advantage here, having been on the board for 4 years. I visited the classroom where sex ed is being taught in grade school. First of all, let me tell you that it's the quietest and most attentive I've ever seen grade school kids in my life. The point is, the sex ed that we teach in Geneva is the same sex ed program that you grew up with, probably even that I grew up with. It's been slightly modified over the years. Such issues as grooming and so forth have been brought up. But for the most part, this is the standard sex ed that you know and are familiar with. We see no reason to change it because it's working well and people are satisfied with it, and some people are unsatisfied with the proposed changes. So we will be sticking to the course we're on.
Thank you. Mr. Nakayama.
So I have a fifth grader who's currently going through some of the curriculum, and we have as much conversation as we can. Myself as a parent, I agree with what everyone has said here. I am not an expert. I don't think anyone on the board is, but I would very much seek out as many expert perspectives that, I work to seek out as many expert perspectives as we can from all sides, from all sorts of angles. Someone mentioned parent feedback. Again, I think that is also very important. We need to make sure that that our, the student and family bases that we serve, that their desires and their requests are also being heard, their voice. So the experts, the parent feedback, and I agree that I think what is being taught right now, I appreciate, and I know it's a tough subject, but I don't know if there's too much to change at this point.
Thank you. Starting with Ms. Ansari, what should be the role of parents in school decisions about curricula?
I think there's a big role. I think parent feedback is vital to this process. I may sound like I'm repeating myself a lot, but I want to hear from the voices that are directly impacted by what we're doing. Just as I said, none of us are experts on maybe any one topic. I look to the experts as well. I want to hear from the parents who are the experts at their children. They know their children better than anybody else. I want to look to the community. I want to look to our teachers. Our teachers, that was their training. That's their livelihood, is knowing what to teach and how to teach it. So I would want to hear from all voices, but I absolutely respect the voice of our students' parents.
Thank you. Mr. Kabin.
Geneva High School has a wide-ranging curriculum offer. However, if there should be something that we're missing or something that we need to add, the parent has the primary responsibility of saying to us as board members, we'd really like to see more French, for example, or something of that nature, and suggest a curriculum. I see a little chuckle out there. The fact is, you guys, all of you, start that ball rolling, and we take a look at it, see what sort of assessment of need there is, and if it's appropriate and proper, we'll offer a course. And once the course is offered, the students then vote with their attendance or not as to the appropriateness of that curriculum. So keep up the good work.
Thank you. Mr. Nakayama.
I agree with Molly. I think ensuring that we have the voice and the expert feedback from our teachers about the best ways that our children can learn in the system. I also agree obtaining the feedback from the parents of the students as well, in terms of what changes they would like to see to be considered and implemented are also very important. So yeah, I think it's just trusting the experts that we've put in place to train and educate our children, and and continuing to maintain that open line of communication between all groups.
Mr. Radlinski.
I believe that Geneva 304 is a high-performing academic institution, and part of that is because of its curriculum. And the board tries to set a direction and a strategy, and as part of that, we monitor the curriculum. The parents that we have are one of the groups that come in to the board and help to define what the curriculum should be and how the direction the curriculum should go. We try to put the documents out so parents can view it and see it, and then we want not only the parents but also other key people such as the teachers, such as the students, to become involved with that. So obviously the parent, to answer the question, the parents are key, but there's also a whole process that goes forward in this area.
Thank you. Mr. Kaveen, in recent years, the district has been dealing with increased competition to fill a variety of vacancies with a shrinking pool of candidates. How can the board keep the quality high in its staff and make Geneva a destination where people spend their careers?
It is the board's responsibility.
In 60 seconds or less.
All right, I'll talk fast. It's the board's responsibility to select a superintendent, and the superintendent's responsibility to manage the running of the district, actually. That's the way it works. If, for some reason, that management isn't being done in a way which would facilitate people wanting to make Geneva a lifetime position, it's the board's responsibility to ask the superintendent to correct that. Should the superintendent not correct that sort of situation, it would be the board's responsibility to hire a new superintendent. Oh, we just did.
Thank you. Mr. Nakayama.
Yeah, I agree with Larry. It starts with the superintendent and holding people accountable, and I think it's incumbent on the board that if the board feels that whether organically or through the feedback of the students and families that the board serves, that the curriculum is perhaps not where it's at or is suffering or in any way, it's the board's job to maybe have those challenging, difficult conversations and work with the leadership of the starting with the superintendent on down to hopefully drive some change.
Thank you. Mr. Radlinski.
Yes, I think there's two issues in order to keep the staff in the area. I think one, of course, is the superintendent, and having a superintendent that is engaging and is enthusiastic, I think will do a lot to keep the teachers and the staff working and in the organization. I think the other point is that obviously, like any organization, we need to be able to compensate them on a competitive basis, which they could earn elsewhere. Otherwise, if you don't, they will vote with their feet. So we work very hard to make sure by monitoring other districts and what their pay scales are so that we can meet those and make sure that we keep our compensation on a competitive basis with the other areas.
Thank you. And still keep the taxpayers happy. Ms. Ansari.
Sure, I think it's no secret that there's a teacher shortage right now that across the state, we're seeing that schools are struggling to fill positions and we don't have enough substitutes out there. And I think something that we can do is to create a culture within our district that at the forefront supports our teachers, that we listen to our teachers, that we take their feedback, and that we open our ears to every teacher in the district. I would love to say that we could give every teacher thousands and thousands of dollars more, but that's not always possible. So if that's not possible, we give the most that we can, but then we give the support that we can in every other way possible. We listen to what they need, and we directly respond to those needs to ensure that they have what they need to show up every day and feel supported and welcomed and loved by all of our students in our community.
Thank you. starting with Mr. Nakayama. What role do you believe public schools should play in promoting diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging?
Well, I think it's a big role. I think a school board can kind of set the tone for how a district kind of looks and feels by the policies it puts in place, some of the people it puts in place, the way it, like someone mentioned that the way that school board meetings are held, right? I feel like they maybe could be a little bit, better attended, and so myself included. So I think maybe encouraging more, continued and more feedback from the community, as well as continued guest speakers, and just trying to introduce maybe new topics and perspectives as much as we can into all aspects of the board operation.
Thank you. Mr. Redlinski.
I look at diversity, equity, and inclusion in two different ways. One, it has to be not only for the students, to make sure that our schools are welcoming and open and a safe place for all students, no matter their race, their religion, their sexual orientation, or their gender identification. But not only do that, but we also have to have diversity and equity inclusion for our staff and our teachers. That has to be, our staff and teachers have to, and management has to look like what our staff looks like. And I think that's important in the terms of diversity and equity inclusion.
Thank you. Ms. Ansari.
I think something to keep in mind that at the most basic level, all humans strive for acceptance and belonging. Without that, we can feel lost, we can feel confused, we can feel not safe. So I go back to the culture of our district, and I want to promote a culture that is equitable to all students, staff, teachers, community, parents, that's inclusive, and that's a place of belonging. We don't achieve academic success unless those things are present, because the student doesn't feel safe enough to be at their best. So I think it starts from the top down. It starts from us as a board to model that, for the superintendent to take the direction from the board and from our goals set forth, and then to trickle it down through our teachers, through our staff, and our students, and out to our communities.
Mr. Khabib.
Interestingly, that's an area that school districts are rated on by some state agencies. And to be frank, Geneva is a little short of where we should be in this area. However, we are working to correct that. We're working to correct it. My favorite example of doing that well is orchestras, which audition new members blindly so they can't see the person but just hear their work. We all want to hire the best qualified people we can. We certainly don't want to eliminate anybody just because they don't look exactly like us. I favor and support everything we can do to enhance the equity, diversity, and inclusion of Geneva. We're working on it, and I think we're doing better all the time.
Thank you. Starting with Mr. Redlinski. The school district does a great job of for high-achieving students and special needs students. The students in the middle seem to be overlooked. How would you fix this?
Interesting. I think that is okay, I have to think here. I believe we do target all students, and we use the data to look at how various groups of students are doing in our school district. It's important that no group is missed when we slice the data in different ways. Hopefully that we can see where there may be blind spots that we're not currently handling correctly, and then we can work to come up with a program to raise those areas where there may be a deficiency.
Thank you. Ms. Ansari.
I think I would admit that I don't know if I have the answer to this. It's an interesting question. It's not an uncommon phenomenon where the high-achieving students have a lot of focus, And maybe those that need a little bit more support have a lot of focus, and it's those students that are in the middle that maybe kind of get lost in the shuffle. And I would look to the experts. I know we have some wonderful teachers present tonight, and I would ask them, what do you see? What are you hearing? How do you think we can fix it? Is it in our class size, the number of students in a class? Is it curriculum? Is it the progression that we have set forth in the curriculum? I honestly, I don't know, but I would love to talk to the people that are on the front line of that issue to get their feedback so that we can best support those in the middle.
Thank you. Mr. Kabir.
There is a program in the junior high right now which involves carefully looking at students and determining who's doing well, who's maybe struggling a little bit, who's struggling a lot. And there's extra time, not a lot, just a few minutes each day set aside to help those kids who may be struggling and just need a little push to get them to the next place. We are working on this issue, and while it's true that kids in the middle tend to be considered sort of self-sufficient, we are trying to help every single child do the best that they can, because if they all do the best that they can, we'll be doing the best that we can.
Mr. Nakayama. You need to drink water here.
That's okay. So I appreciate this question, and I guess, with maybe my kids being a little bit younger, 5th, 2nd kindergarten, I guess I was not necessarily aware that that was a feeling that some parents had or teachers had, that there was a middle segmentation of our student body that is feeling overlooked, I think is what the word was. So I agree, without necessarily knowing some specifics or the data behind that perspective, that's where I would start, is taking a look at the data. Maybe it's test scores, or maybe there's some sort of socioeconomic or some sort of data that would help us maybe understand the root cause of why this is being felt and why it's happening, and so that a well-informed, robust solution could be put in place.
Thank you. Let's see, question 8. We're on question 8, guys. Do you support strong library programs in all of the Geneva school buildings? And we'll start with Ms. Ansari.
I think the short answer is yes, absolutely. I think the library is such a wonderful place. My oldest is in kindergarten. She goes to Heartland, and I can't tell you the joy that I get walking into that school. Their media center and their library is just beautiful. Big skylights on the top, just gorgeous. And I get a feeling when I walk in there, and I remember what it was like when I was a kid, getting the time in the library to pick out books and to be a part of whatever programs they had. So I absolutely support that, and I would do anything I could to ensure that we have programs put in place across the entire district in the libraries.
Thank you. Mr. Kabin.
I remember as a youth, well, that was a long time ago, going to the library and really enjoying myself, finding the books there and everything. I absolutely support strong library systems. I believe here in Geneva we have a librarian for every school, and I'm happy to see that. I encourage the kids to read and to educate themselves.
Mr. Nakayama.
Big supporter of libraries. I personally love this library. We come to this library. My children, just kind of the 3 data points I have personally, but that's like their favorite part of the week when they get to go. They bring home their books and we read them as a family. And I just whatever we can do to I don't know if there's a perspective out there that maybe it's lacking or something like that. So I'd much like to hear, if there's some things that might need improving, maybe additional resources, whatever that might be. Conversations with I'm sure the teaching staff. I know some are here. If they have an opinion on how things could be improved, I would love to hear about it. But yeah, big supporter of libraries.
Thank you. Mr. Redlinski.
Yeah, I would like to see somebody actually say they didn't support libraries and administrators. But no, to be honest with you, I'm a voracious reader. And I believe that being able to explore different types of genres in reading gives a student the opportunity to find their passions. Whether it be history, whether it be something that they're currently not studying in school, it's like the free time that they can learn and they can find something that really just inspires them. And that's what we're here for, is to help our children to be inspired.
Thank you. Starting with Mr. Kabine. Oh, I have to pick out the question. Oh, we have people coming to watch. There are plenty of seats, guys. Come on in. How does the Geneva School District support the economy and quality of life in Geneva?
I know there are people in this room who moved to Geneva because of the quality of the schools. And I know that there are people here who are happy they did that because of the quality of education their children have gotten. The quality of the schools directly supports the value of everybody in this room's house and everybody else in Geneva. It's a thing that we can do as school board members that actually improves your well-being throughout the community and the reputation of Geneva. I couldn't feel more strongly that schools are very important as we go forward, and our job is to do the best that we can to make these the best schools that we can.
Thank you. Mr. Nakayama.
That was a great response. I agree with a lot of what Robert said. I mean, I think having my wife and I, that's why we decided to move here and raise our family here, was predominantly about the quality of the school system and the school experience here. And I think that feeds down into everything in the sense of the community and the other types of like-minded families and parents that are also attracted to this community for the same reason. And I think that it just bears out all sorts of fruit. I'm an active coach. In fact, I just came from baseball practice wearing a jumpsuit, but we've met folks through the school system, and now they're the kids that I coach on the teams, and it's just everything. It's almost like the focal point of the community is the school system. So whatever we can do as board members to further enhance that and keep that the focal point is, I think that's incumbent on us to do that.
Thank you. Mr. Redlinski.
As I mentioned when I was doing my introduction, the reason we came to Geneva was because of the school district. We were living out of the country, and my wife came back, and she had the opportunity to tour a number of districts. When she came back to me, she says, I know where we're going to live, and it's going to be Geneva because it's got a great school district, and we were very excited about it. I think also that having a great school district is important in having the reputation of being a place that people want to live. And that is important for the local economy. We hire a lot of people at the school district also, which supports the local economy. But we also make sure that it's a place that when people think of the Geneva School District and the town of Geneva, they think it's a great place to live, and one of the reasons is because of the school.
Thank you. Ms. Ansari.
I would say what my fellow candidates had said is absolutely on point. I, as well as many others, my husband and I moved to Geneva about 4 years ago. We lived in the city and made the western migration when we had children, and Geneva was the top performing school district that we wanted to be a part of. But I would even take it a step further that we're able to contribute back to the quality of life for our graduates and for our students, and how we raise them, and how they are becoming productive members of our community here, responsible and kind, well-learned and well-educated. And I think that's a byproduct that's going to come right back into our community, and I think that's something to highlight as well as what everybody has already said.
Thank you. Starting with Mr. Nakayama. what are your 3 overall education priorities that, in a perfect world, you could accomplish during your time in office, and why are they important?
In a minute. Well, I think the priorities would be, one, to maintain this district as one of the best districts in the state, I believe. So everything that entails. I think, I mentioned it in my very first question, I think also maybe implementing, some sort of deeper dive look into the impacts of social media, and then some of the maybe policies that can be wrapped around that as it pertains to what we allow in the schools and what we encourage the children, how to engage social media. It can't be avoided, I understand that, but healthy ways that we could leverage social media. And I think just to further encourage the relationship between the educational system and the community through events and collaboration, and just to maintain that healthy relationship between the school board, the education system, and the community that we serve.
Thank you. Mr. Redlinski.
Yeah, I think my first priority would be to maintain the high performance in the educational system that we have today, and make sure that the curriculum and the involvement of the staff, teachers, and parents are continue to be as strong as it's been. The second area that I would say is we need to look and see where those students are that are struggling due to COVID, either through falling behind in academics or having mental health issues that will impact their ability to learn, and try to work with them and work with them in a compassionate manner. And I think the third area that we need to make sure we do is we need to make sure we have a strong financial basis for our school district. We need to make sure that we've had a strong history of having a strong financial basis in this school district, and I think it's important that we maintain that moving forward.
Thank you. Ms. Ansari.
I think first and foremost for me, and again, the big reason why I want to be on the board, is to lend support to the mental health and well-being and sense of safety to our students, faculty, and to our teachers, to talk to the behavioral specialists within the district, to talk to them about strategies to increase that sense of well-being. I think the second one, and a very important one, is to support the successful onboarding of our new superintendent. We have a really great incoming superintendent, and I want to ensure that his onboarding is fully supported and that we get off on the right foot, because that, again, just trickles down to the entire district. And then the third thing is to, as we've already heard, is maintaining our academic success, and to ensure that we are always staying ahead of the game on curriculum and the tools that are out there to support the learning of our students and to support the teachers that are delivering that to our students.
Thank you. Mr. Khabib.
I think the question dealt with education, in particular, 3 wishes. In any case, what I would say is the district has a fairly lengthy motto, and part of it is to have the students become successful, lifelong learners, people who are willing to learn as they go forward throughout their life. That would be one of my wishes. The second thing I would wish for the students who complete their education here is that they love to read, that they read recreationally and enjoy it and learn so many things, because that is the key to any piece of knowledge you want to have. The third thing I would wish is that we can teach them not what to think, but how to think.
Thank you. Starting with Mr. Redlinski. If you could change one thing about the school board, what would it be?
Yeah, I would love to see in our school board meetings a larger audience with parents and teachers and community there to provide their input to us, so that we know and are always on track with what the community is looking for and how they want us to move forward with important issues that will come down the line.
Having moderated in some other districts, be careful what you wish for. Ms. Ansari.
Yes, being mindful of being, aware of what we're wishing for, I would echo that. When I was appointed to the board last March, I had in my mind this vision of lots of attendees and maybe some more vulnerable or difficult moments and conversations, but I was ready for it. And I was actually surprised at sometimes the low number of attendance, and I know that is still a fallout from COVID. Coming on a Monday evening at 7 o'clock is prime family time, and I fully understand that, and I believe we have a large attendance virtually, which is great, but come, be a part of the meetings, voice your opinions and your thoughts, and be an active listener. Be a part of the desire to be informed of what's going on, and I think together we can handle it better, and we can come up with strategies and decisions to make, again, more collaboratively.
Thank you. Mr. Kabane.
Yeah, I think what I would do is I'd like to see some aspects of the Open Meetings Act change. And this is a little technical for this particular forum, but the Open Meetings Act says that if any two board members get together, they can talk about board business, but they can't do a chain conversation, nor can three board members get together and talk about board things. There's a good reason for this rule, but it inhibits the free exchange of ideas that I look forward to when I was on the board. This exchange takes place, but mostly in executive session and mostly in a fairly limited way. So with that in mind, that's what I would change.
Thank you. Mr. Nakayama.
Not being an active board member currently, I guess I'm not privy to some of those little nuances, so that was interesting to hear about. But, my honest answer is, I don't necessarily, my reason for joining or wanting to be part of the board, wanting to be part of the board is, I don't have an axe to grind on anything, right? I just want to be a particular, just I think I can be a value-added piece to the continued success of this wonderful school district. And like I said, I don't have those inner experiences that the rest of the panel members have, have. But just continue to just want to be part of it, right?
Thank you. Last question. What endorsements have you sought, obtained, or plan to seek? And we'll start with Ms. Ansari.
Sure. So I met with the teachers union, and I think we had a really lovely conversation, and was very honored to receive their endorsement. And honestly, I think that's the most important one to me, because I value the direction that they want, I value the support that they want. And I will continue to meet with community members and hope to find individual endorsement just on a personal level, but I was completely honored to receive that.
Thank you. Mr. Kabine.
Without asking anyone, I was also endorsed by the GEA, and I'm very pleased and honored to be endorsed by them.
Thank you. Mr. Nakayama.
I am not necessarily looking for an endorsement from a specific association or committee. I mentioned that I am active in the community in the sense that I've been a youth baseball coach for many years now, and I've been able to build a network of friends and close family friends, and gotten to know a lot of people out in the community. So, I'll be pursuing, my following and endorsements via my relationships out in the community.
Thank you. Mr. Redlinski.
So I also had an opportunity to meet with the GEA and was endorsed by the GEA. I also am very pleased because earlier today, Larry gave an endorsement to the current board member. So, but I'm also responding to the surveys and the questions that are received from the two local newspapers, and I provide information back to them. Yes, it would be nice to have their endorsement, but it's more important that I can give a wider audience what my positions are on the topics that are being asked of us.
Thank you. before we start with closing, and we will start with Mr. Kabine for closing and keep going around like we have been. All of the people running for the school board were invited tonight. Miss Quinn Selchek had a work commitment, so she was unable to attend, although she indicated that she tried really hard to change things. Andrea Haig did not respond to our invitation at all. So we will start with closing, and you can have 90 seconds, up to 90 seconds. And we'll start with Mr. Kabine.
Wow. Okay, I look back in my opening statement. The closing statement, I'm going to try and look forward. If anyone had told me 4 years ago when I was elected to the school board that I would be the senior board member at this point, and since Mike decided not to run, that is in fact the case, I would have said there's no way. But between moving jobs and things of that nature, a lot of people went away, and we got a lot of good people, because one of the things about appointing someone is that you can analyze their potential and say these are good people and select them. Having said all that, I look forward to improving the district in some ways. We have, as I said earlier, hired a new superintendent, and I think that that's been a well-received piece of news. We are in the middle of negotiations with teachers for their contract, and it's my understanding that that is going well. Obviously, it would be a huge plus if we could settle that before the end of the year, and I hope we can. Having said all of that, I will say that I look forward to further projects, some that are realistic, like enhancing the quality of the education and hiring really good teachers, some that are a little bit out there. We recently purchased some property for an extension of the bus barn. I'd like to see solar panels put on part of that property, which is a little too wet to actually park buses. We could do both, I think. In any case, there's a lot of future possibilities for 304. I want to be part of it. I really appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nakayama, your closing.
Yes, thank you. First of all, thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting us and having this event today. It's an honor and it's a pleasure to be here. So, as I mentioned in the beginning, my wife and I have kids in the system and in the school system. It's a wonderful district. I'm running for school board because I would like to be a continued part of that and the development of its policies and the relationships it builds with the community and the Teachers Association. Just to continue to make this district just a wonderful district. I mentioned before, it's the reason my wife and I decided to put our roots down here and raise our family, and we have no intention of leaving. And so, just looking forward to, if the constituents decide that I'm worthy to be on the board with their vote, I'm going to do the best that I can to represent all parties that are involved with the schooling of our children, and just to ensure that it's the best experience that it can be for everyone involved.
Thank you. Mr. Radlinski.
Well, I too would like to thank the League of Women Voters for this forum tonight. I think it's a great opportunity to introduce ourselves to the community. I want to thank the audience also for coming out here on such a miserable night in terms of the weather, so kudos to you. I've been on the board now for almost 11 months, and I have really enjoyed my time with the board. I think we have a great board, and the people on there are very committed to what we're trying to accomplish. I'm very also happy and excited to see all that we've accomplished, which is the hiring of the new superintendent, hopefully coming to a resolution soon for a new contract for our teachers to move forward. I think that's important. And I think from tonight, I hope that the voters out there will get to know me a little bit better, understand what my qualifications are, recognize why, the reasons I'm running for office, and also see the passion that I want to bring to this. And again, I ask for the voters' vote while we're out there. And as a good salesman, you always have to try to close and get the sales. So please vote for me come April. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Ansari.
I would echo all the thank yous to the League of Women Voters, to all of you who came out, to those who will watch on the stream later, and for your questions. I think they're so important. and I appreciate the opportunity to speak to them, to hear them, to get a little feedback of where everybody's head is at as far as our district and what's important. My oldest is in kindergarten, as I mentioned before, so as a parent, I'm new to the system, and I felt a calling to be a part of that process with her and my son, who's going to be coming up in the school, and also with my profession being in mental health. I find it paramount to have diversity on a board. I might not be the strongest financially, but I know mental health, I know safety, and I promise to use that in every decision that I make, to keep that at the forefront of all that I do, and I promise to listen. I think everybody wants to be heard, everybody has something important to contribute or to say, and it's so vital that we listen. So I hope that you can take all of that into consideration. I thank fellow candidates. I think it's really cool to have more candidates than positions. That really speaks to the involvement in the community. So thank you all, and I appreciate you listening to me and getting to know me tonight.
Thank you, candidates. It is amazing that you, in this day and age, are out there running for office in any shape or form. School districts are under fire right now, but I will say that we in the Fox Valley are extremely fortunate to have the people that we have running the schools and being on the board. And we've got some of the best kids around too. So take this opportunity to thank our candidates tonight. We are halfway through our League of Women Voters candidate forums. We have 2 more left. On March 2nd, we will be in Campton Hills for the first time ever for the village president and village trustees. And on March 5th, we are going to spend the entire afternoon at the St. Charles Library because we have 4 races that Kelly is handling. So thank you all for coming tonight. I appreciate it. The League appreciates it, and vote. Thank you.